Hey leaders, let me take you back to my early days as a high school principal. I thought I had to do it all, put out every fire, manage every crisis, and be the superhero I thought my school needed. Honestly, I was overwhelmed. I was exhausted and just felt like I was spinning my wheels. It wasn't until I got clear on my values, on my time, and on my systems that everything changed. Now, I've taken everything I learned from that experience, plus years of coaching leaders all across North America, and designed a course to help you take control of your leadership. The course is called Take Control of Your Leadership, and it's built for leaders just like you, leaders who are tired of the overwhelm and who are ready to focus on what truly matters. In this course, you will learn how to manage your time like a pro so you can stop putting out fires and start leading with intention. You'll learn how to build positive culture where everyone feels seen and heard and valued and trusted. You'll refocus on teaching and learning, becoming the instructional leader that your school needs. And you'll work on staying aligned with your vision and making real progress towards your goals. Whether you're in your first year or your 15th year as a leader, this course gives you the tools and the strategies to lead with clarity, confidence, and purpose. Are you ready to stop spinning your wheels and start leading with impact? Head to theprincipalacademy.com and check out Take Control of Your Leadership today. And don't wait. Your school deserves the best version of you and of your leadership. Let's make this happen together. All right, everybody, welcome into episode 178 of the Leaning into Leadership podcast. It is our special midweek edition of the show, and joining me today, my buddy Todd Bloomer. We're flying the open man formation, if you will, with our boy Dominic Armano unable to join us for this particular episode. But Todd, it's you and me, man, and we're in the Thanksgiving week, and I know you're off for the week, getting a little bit of rest, man. How you doing?
Let's go, DP. Doing great. Resting, recharging, football, family, food, friends. All the great stuff to make Thanksgiving probably my favorite holiday of the year. So I'm looking forward to sitting down with you tonight. Looking forward to talking some shop and getting after it.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So I do have to tell you, I got a little bit of feedback from last month. And, several individuals that listened to the show reached out to me. I was actually in one of the buildings that, one of the schools that I work with here in the Omaha area, Papillion La Vista High School. My buddy Jason Ryan, shout out to Jason because I know he'll be listening to this. Jason. And Jason was telling me two things. One, that, he really appreciated last month that you specifically talked about winning the middle eight and about keeping the main thing. He also said he's going to be in San Antonio fairly soon, so I need to make sure and connect the two of you because he said he wants to come and hang out at Winston Churchill High School. So
I'd be
definitely some good feedback.
Off the city, let's go. Connect us.
Yeah,
Steve
absolutely.
B, connect us.
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure. So tonight, Todd, here's what I think we ought to get into, right? So this is the Thanksgiving week, and pretty much so when this is dropping on a Wednesday morning, almost every single school leader is on the Thanksgiving break. There might be a few who have to work that Wednesday, but almost everybody is on the break. So let's have a little bit of fun tonight and let's go rapid fire. I know I've got like 5-6 questions that I want to throw at you. I know you've got questions you want to throw at me. Let's just have a little bit of fun, and we'll talk a little bit of leadership, and let's also talk some things that are just not leadership. Let's just have a good time. You good with this, man?
Let's go. Yes, sir. Let's do it.
Yeah, right on. Okay, so here's where I want to start this particular episode. So I wrote a blog last week about what it is that keeps school leaders up at night during the holidays, and I think there are dozens of different things. When I think back to my time as a high school principal, when I think back to my time as a superintendent, certainly when you got to this time of year, there are a lot of things that are starting to churn in your brain. And maybe right now, maybe 2024 Todd Bloomer is sleeping like a baby. over the holidays. But I have a feeling there's probably something that keeps you up at night. And I'm curious, even just going back over the last few years, what is something as a school leader that keeps you up at night? And I'll just leave it open ended.
Yeah, it's a great question. I could go many different angles, but we'll take the holiday route as just what keeps me up at night. We have a wonderful campus, Churchill High School, 2,400 students, rich, poor, and everybody in between. And what really keeps me up at night is just student safety over the holidays. I mean, you talk about kids that left last Friday, and kids are going to be off for 10 days. I started off by telling you how much I enjoyed food, family, football, friends, the whole 9 yards. But there are numerous families out there in our cities and in our schools that the holidays just are not the enjoyable time that I just described. They could be, having dealt with loss of a loved one, dealt with, food insecurities, and we see that a lot in our campus. And so, really, as I sit down and today, I went and bought a ham and macaroni and cheese and rolls and all that kind of good stuff that we're going to have for the Bloomer family Thanksgiving. I really think about those families that may not have a lot, and their meal may not be as joyous as mine, or their family may be fractured, or they may not be able to get together and sit down and watch. And so that really keeps me going at night. And as I say my prayers to the good Lord, and I try to watch over and bless the folks that I serve, that really hurts that the families that I say, go have a great time, favorite holiday, may not have the holiday that I do. And so I know, Darren, as a former high school principal and superintendent, you dealt with the same thing. And I'll throw that back to you. What keeps you going? What keeps you up now as a former high school principal and former superintendent? What kept you going? What kept you up at night where all of a sudden you woke up at 3 a.m. and thought, crap, I got to get in and go to work?
Yeah, I appreciate that, man. That's a great answer because that's that's pretty spot on. But I'll go a little bit different angle. Um, you know, all of that is 100% true. But I'm gonna go at it from the angle of our staff because the same thing is true there. And no matter what it is that we are paying them, there are still things that our staff are dealing with, whether that's the health of a loved one, or maybe a fractured relationship, or a challenge with one of their children, or something like that. And it seemed like there was never a year that time didn't go by at the holidays when I didn't know about something heavy that one of my staff members was carrying. And
Facts.
I mean, even I'll be honest with you, even like with us right now here at RTA, we have some heavy things we're handling as a family. But one of our authors just yesterday texted me telling me about how his mother had passed away, very unexpected. And those are the kinds of things, Todd, as a human being, that's what keeps you awake at night, right? Like you want, man, you want so much to be able to just go help lift them up and support them. And they know that you're there for them. But man, I know without question, I wish this wasn't true, but I know without question that within the Winston Churchill family right now, there's probably somebody on your staff that's dealing with something heavy.
Absolutely.
And man, those things, because those are your people, right? I mean, those
Those
are
are
the
your
people
people.
that, yeah, they aren't just the people that share a hallway with you. They're the
Right.
people that they share your
Family.
life. And
Yeah.
yeah, so, whew, man, that one hit me a little bit harder than I thought it was going to.
Yeah, and you
It's
know what?
tough.
Tonight, Dominic is not with us, and I think it's,
Yeah.
shout out to Dominic, because Dominic is at a wake for a teacher that passed, a wake for a teacher's family. I'm not 100% sure
Yeah.
the circumstances,
Right.
but he's there with them. And as we talk about these heavy moments, one of the things I always felt as a building leader, as a principal, and I know, Darren, you feel the same way, when our family members lose staff or family members, we have to be there. And shout out to
Yeah.
Dom tonight for, over his
100%.
vacation, being there to support someone in their worst moment. And, he'd love to be here and be able to talk shop with us, but it was more important for him to be there. So as we talk about what keeps
Right.
us at night, shout out to Dom for walking the walk. He's there tonight when someone
100%.
at their worst moment is going to think back, oh my God, this is terrible. They're going to think the guy that's not even the principal of my school anymore because he's at a new campus was there to support. And sadly, probably people from that campus may not be there to support, but Dom's there. So shout out to Dom for walking the walk.
Yeah, 100%, man. I love that. And it's a challenge. There's no question about it. And, when we get into the holidays, as festive as they are, and as much as we love so many different pieces, yeah, we definitely need to not lose sight of the challenges that other people are dealing with. So, was that your first question? Did you have that same question, or
I basically had the question of how I had the question of kind of how to handle the holidays and really support staff, not necessarily on those lines. But I got a different one. We'll go curveball, just kind of as we're rocking and rolling. Darren, right now, if a leader came to you and said, Darren, I am off for the holidays and I have time to sit down and read a book right now, and I want a leadership book that you think really will resonate with me. And it could be for anything. You could say, well, what are you looking for? Because I know that's one of your questions that you always ask. What are you getting at? And they just say, look, I just want a leadership book right now that's hot. What would you say?
Man, that's really, really good. Obviously I could say The Blueprint or
Absolutely, 100%.
Right?
We serve that up.
I'll tell you this. we did. But I'm going to tell you this, and I love that you asked this question. So my best friend from all the way back to junior high, one of my very, very best friends, he went a whole different career pathway than I did. He has been in law enforcement for 30 years, earned his way all the way up to, he's the director of DCI for the state of Wyoming. I mean, the guy he's done amazing things in his career, and I'm very proud of him. And we mostly now just text back and forth during Bronco games. Previously, lamenting how bad they were this year, finally hey, maybe they're okay. But he shared this book with me the other day, and I've just started reading it. But Becoming a Leader of Character. It's sitting right here on my desk because I just ordered it as soon as Matt said, you've got to get this book. He said, you know what? In the role I'm in, reading a book like this really resonated with me. He's like, have you read this book? And I have not yet. And I've just started reading this book. It's by General James L. Anderson.
Awesome.
And Coach Krzyzewski wrote the foreword, so it's going to be good. I think stepping outside of educational leadership books sometimes is a really, really good move. Admiral McRaven, who wrote Make Your Bed, Wisdom of the Bullfrog, several other books. I've read everything he's written. And by the way, if you do those, get them on Audible because he reads them and his voice is just cool. Oh my God, cool. It's so good. But that's what I would say. I would say this new book that I just got, Becoming a Leader of Character. I'm so excited to read it. I so appreciate that my buddy Matt Waldock reached out and said, "Hey, you got to check out this book." So
awesome.
That would be my answer. I'm gonna throw that right back at you. Leaders, you want to read something over the holidays? What would Todd tell them?
So right here. I don't know if you can see it, but it's Unreasonable Hospitality by Will.
Oh yeah.
I'm pronouncing his name wrong. Guidara. I'm not 100% sure. And it is not an educational book, but it's a book about restaurants and how restaurants have changed the game, not just to serve you great food, but to make it an experience. And I sat out on the balcony today. I'm on vacation overlooking the Gulf of Mexico. And for an hour and a half, I couldn't put the book down, highlighting, underlining, just different things about creating experiences and then figuring out how I can relate that back to public school. And just an easy to read book and a great book, and one I'd highly, highly recommend. Probably one of the top 10 books I've read in a long time.
Wow. So I have that one queued up in Audible. And, our mutual friend, Dr. Luke Croy, shared something about that one LinkedIn. And immediately when I saw that, I'm like, I got to get it. If Lude is recommending it, I'm going to get it. I don't know if that's why you got it, but I do
100%.
have it queued up in Audible. Yeah, I'm excited to read that one. I really, really am.
We'll need to talk about that at some point because there's a lot of good stuff in that book that I think could be a topic of a conversation.
So let's just do this. I mean, Dominic may hear this, before he listens to this episode, but Dom, we're now challenging you to also read that book, and we're going to talk about that book maybe in the February episode or something.
That'd be great.
That.
That'd be great.
We'll dive into that. So, okay, so that means now it's my turn to ask you a question, and let's see. We did that one. That one was really good. Okay, so you've been kind of dabbling with this a little bit and sharing some of this stuff on social media. So I'm going to ask you this question, and you can certainly turn it back on me too. You've been, a published author now for a couple of months, and certainly, again, you've shared quite a bit about this, and I love this. So I'm going to have fun with this question. Tell me something that you have learned. Tell our listeners something that you have learned as a newly published author.
Yeah. Hey, thank you for that question, because recently wrote a blog post myself about the process and, trusting the process. One day in July, I'm an average high school principal in San Antonio, Texas. One day in August, I'm a published author. And then after that, I became a businessman. And so really the easiest part, and it was very difficult, was writing the book. The next part becomes after that is, how do I continue to keep the momentum going of the book? How do I network? How do I try to get the book in the hands of as many people as I possibly can without being overbearing, without being, I call it the Cutco knife guy, without being that neighbor that wanted to sell you that knife and you're trying to just completely ignore the calls. And so what I've really learned is that there's so much to being a businessman. Setting up a website, utilizing social media, shipping books once you've sold books individually, trying to keep the momentum going locally, but then also trying to get the book in the hands of as many people to where that can open up doors for you that you might not have considered. Writing the book was great. Here's my story. Here's my vulnerability. Here I lay it all out. I think it resonates with people. But now how do I get that in the hands of as many people as possible? And it's been enjoyable. And it's become that challenge. I'll give a shameless plug to myself. DP, we talk each day. I think we got a streak going of text messages, like a Snapchat streak going. I sold 18 books from last Friday till today. No idea. Like I'm really proud of that. And I really think that is part of me reaching out and part of me trying to generate some content in which I'm trying to get it in the hands of people. So I think, long story as I wrap up, I think reaching out to those that have walked before me, guys like you, I talked to Dr. Beck the other day, Brandon Beck the other day, just about creating that content to keep it going so that people will turn around and buy it. And so what does that look like? And how do I get that in the hands of others? For kind of what we have. So just as I'm going to kind of the same book question, and it was one of my questions that I had, because I'm starting to get people now that are asking me, I got an idea for a book. Do you think Road to Awesome would publish it? So Darren, my question to you is, what are you and your wife, or, what are you and I'll say Jess, the boss, what are you guys looking for in that next book? And how would somebody pitch an idea to you?
Right. No, that's a great question. I appreciate that. I would tell you, when we first started this journey as publishers, it was, I don't know, it was a combination of a few different things. Honestly, before the first edition of my book was published, I considered self-publishing, like many. I considered, I can self-publish. I can figure this out. And then the opportunity came. We got the book published, and it did fairly well, right? Then of course, we reacquired the book and have done the second edition. But in the interim, we were starting down this road of, we wanted to help other educators tell their story. We wanted to help other educators have that vehicle to share their passion, their story, and what they wanted to like help the world go do, right? Um, Along the way, and I'll give her a plug. I'll give her a shout out. Debbie Tannenbaum, one of our very first authors, her book Transform, Techie Notes to Make Learning Sticky. Debbie, at a point, probably about our fifth or sixth book that we released, I think she was either our second or third book. She said, you know, Darren, it's interesting. Every book that you've released is hitting a niche that we didn't necessarily know needed to be hit. And so what we're looking for, and again, shout out to Debbie because I think she helped us maybe see what we were really trying to be all about was we want to find a book that number one is unique. Now, that doesn't mean unique totally in concept, right? Like, you know, school culture. A lot of people talk about school culture. Leadership development. A lot of people talk about it. You and I both talk about leadership development, but we do it our own way. Um, you know, technology integration in the classroom. A lot of people do that differently. We want to see something that is unique in its own way, but we also want to know that the author has a really clear idea of what they want their readers to get from it, but also what do they want to get from it? You know, is this just simply a cathartic process that I just need to write this book? Is it I want to be doing professional development in 5 years? Is it, you know, I want to launch a speaking career? Is what is the purpose behind why they want to do the book? And I'm not saying we're looking for a specific purpose. We want to know that the author is clear on what their purpose is, because I think that means so very much. And we've learned this along the way. You know, I mean, we've got an incredible group of, you know, nearly 40 authors right now.
How many years, Darren?
Some of which we're almost at 4. We're about a month away from being 4 years into this process.
Congratulations.
And, you know, we're almost at 50 authors, to be honest with you, with who we have under contract and what we have rolling out. But in that time, yeah, we have had some authors who just simply, this is just, you know, some self-catharsis of, I need to write this book. And some, hey, this is where I want to go, you know, further down the road, and everything in between. And that's, none of that is right or wrong. We just want to know what does the author really want to do. And then I think the last thing that we look for is how well can you articulate that? And not that you need to be a perfect writer or that you need to be a perfect speaker. You are discovering and learning this too. I've learned it over the last 5 years. Every time you talk about the blueprint, every time Todd Bloomer talks about the blueprint, he gets clearer, he gets sharper, he gets that much more just like, this is who I want to be and this is what I'm all about. So it isn't that we need or expect an author to be perfect, but we do want them to know kind of in their core, this is what I'm really about. And we only learn that by having the conversations. I mean, you know, you and I had a conversation when you came to us with the blueprint, and you've told the story before several different times. People said no, they were looking for something else. Or every time you talked about it, you got clearer and sharper. And by the time you got to me, it was, hey, this is the blueprint. And, you know, I think that's the best way I can answer that question.
So if somebody had an idea, is that an email, reach out, social media? Do you encourage
I think that's
that?
where it starts. Yeah. Either one, email or social media. Yeah. Darren@roadtoawesome.net, or, you know, reach out through social media. Hey, here's what I'm thinking, because we do want to see, you know, a table of contents or a basic skeletal outline of the book and maybe a chapter or two, so we can see, you know, what does your writing look like? You know, what does it feel like? How well does your voice come through? And what might need to be pulled out of you, you know, from the editing side. Again, this is where, as you called her, the boss, where Jess really comes shining through, right?
So follow-up question, 5 years from now, Darren, we're pushing 20,
Yeah.
30. what does Road to Awesome look like?
Man, that's a great question. And it's something that Jess and I talk about on a pretty regular basis. We schedule time on a regular basis for us to not only look strategically at Road to Awesome, but also where do we, the two of us, see ourselves and where we want to be as a business. Um, we're already starting to migrate some of the training pieces into the digital world with the launch of the Principal Academy, with our first course, the Take Control of Your Leadership course. I think there's a potential to see some shift in what happens on the book side with either a bigger scaling or even maybe, stepping our toes into some other realms of the publishing world. So I'll leave it at that because we are still kind of
Awesome.
working our way through that. But yeah, no, that's a great question, man. I appreciate that.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, awesome.
I
So
got
let's
another one. Hey,
see.
I'll piggyback.
Yeah,
You kind
you're
of
up. It's your turn.
you kind of served it up anyways. Darren, you just launched a digital course that is designed, I believe, to be able to help current or aspiring leaders. Can
Mhm.
you talk a little bit about what that course, why you developed that course, who it is
Yeah.
developed for, and what you hope that people who sign up to take that course get out of that?
Yeah, for sure. No, I appreciate that question. I would tell you this. So, over the course of the last 2 years, I've been thinking about launching something in the digital space to support school leaders. And in fact, the principalacademy.com, I have owned that URL for 3 years. I just didn't know what I was going to do with it, but I grabbed it. I didn't want to let it get away. And this past summer, including our time together at TASSP and a few other events that I was at, a lot of people in your space in the I am a current principal, whether brand new, elementary, high school, whatever, 20 years in, they would love to have a coach to work with. They would love to have that thought partner. They would love to have someone to help them. I have a former student athlete of mine. I think I've talked about her here on the show before, who is in her second year now as an executive director of a campus. It's a principalship, but it's in a charter school district in Phoenix, who has reached out numerous times. She'd love to have some coaching. But here's the thing, not everybody can spend what it costs to have a leadership coach work with them. You and I have several ones in Texas that we both have kind of worked with who unfortunately they're just not able to do that. So my thought was, how can I support them on a much more budget friendly way, right? I mean, I still want to help them, and maybe if I create this course, maybe if I put something together that walks them through, let's identify what our values really are. I mean, like you've heard me talk, let's get clear and let's get intentional. So how do we break that down and go through some different chunks of content, little 4, 5, 6 minute videos of me and then an activity, 4 or 5 minute, with me and then an activity. And that's ultimately what we have created. And big shout out to my daughter, Liz, on the marketing side, has done a phenomenal job. And not only that, she's held me accountable to get it done. Because I think if she hadn't been pushing me, I might still be talking about it and it wouldn't actually be live. So my hope is that new aspiring leaders who just need a little bit of like something to get them going again, feel like they're stuck in the mud, can step into this course for honestly a really reasonable amount of money, whether they're paying for it out of their own pocket or they're using district money, and get some clarity, get dialed back in on instructional leadership, get dialed back in on school culture and climate, actually take like back some of the time management stuff that becomes such a quick, easy struggle, and then really build their team and stay focused on their vision. That to me, that was what it was all about. And that's really kind of the course in a nutshell. And at the end of the course, there's a little clip of me, sharing, hey, reach out, let's grab some time together, go through the course. But then I want to find, any way possible, even if it's just a 30-minute free consult, let's have a conversation that I can help leaders, continue to make a difference in their schools, because I know what a difference a coach made for me. I know, how that relationship that you build with your staff and with your students permeates your life, not just the moment. It permeates your life. And the more I can help leaders do that work and do it well, man, to me, that's what the course was all about.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Kudos for creating
it. I appreciate the question.
And I love the fact that
really
your daughter's involved. Shout out to your daughter. Hey, shout out to my daughter, Bethany. Yeah. Hopefully she's listening.
Absolutely.
She created my website. She helps me with a lot of my marketing stuff. I love the fact that we're able to utilize family to help, because that really, Road to Awesome that's a bad word for it. Road to Awesome is a family. It is people that have come together and been a part of it. You, Jess, and your daughter. And so that's shout out to them, because I'm utilizing my daughter to help me too. Cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, it's when you're thinking Small Business Saturday, get yourself a copy of the blueprint and
that's go buy. Yes, sir.
Go buy the course. There you go. Okay, so let's go in a little bit different direction here. Let's have a little bit of holiday fun. And I still have some school leadership questions if we get to them, but I just want to ask you this one. Like, what is your absolute favorite holiday movie? What is we must watch this movie?
Can I have a tie?
Of course.
Or do I have to pick one? Okay.
No, you can have more than one.
Okay, so then we're gonna go 3. Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. A classic.
Man, you really just took this from 1 to 3 just like that quick. That's crazy.
100%, right? Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
Yeah.
Just a classic Steve Martin,
Great
John
movie.
Candy movie. Just one of my all-time favorites. Christmas Vacation, which we just watched the other day.
Given.
Just a classic movie. And then Elf. The wholesomeness, the Will Ferrell at his best. Just any of those 3 movies. Like, we're on vacation right now. It's, if the family's sitting around today, let's watch a movie, and one of those 3 movies came on, I know we could watch any of those movies. They would be family friendly and funny as heck, and keep us kind of laughing as we're rocking and rolling from there. Yeah. How about you, Darren? Favorite?
Yeah. Well, I mean, my all-time favorite, you had in the group. You really did. To me, the holidays begin the first time I watch Christmas Vacation. It's just that simple. And, we will on Friday, we'll start the decorating and we will have Christmas Vacation on, but I will probably watch it 10 or 12 times. I love it. The other one I would tell you, and I love both of the other ones that you mentioned. I love movies like Scrooged. I absolutely love it. There's a new Will Ferrell with, Ryan Reynolds, Spirited. This is the 3rd year it's been out, but that's become a tradition with us. We love that movie. But I'll tell you this, I go all the way back to as a little kid, and my mom and I would sit down on Christmas Eve and watch White Christmas. And I love White Christmas. Absolutely love it so very, very much. So don't necessarily get to sit and watch that movie with my mom now during the Christmas holiday, because we live far enough apart. But that one's still a really special one. But I would even tell you this, and school leaders, I'm going to throw this one out here for you. If you want to have some fun, create a bracket. I mean, we're talking like an NCAA, like Sweet 16, Elite 8, whatever, how much time you have. I used to do this on a regular basis, and fill the bracket with Christmas movies, and then let your staff vote and make it into a tournament. Like, if you have 4 days, go from 16 to the champion, and who is the champion, holiday movie of the year. Your staff will have so much fun with it.
That's a really good idea.
I I don't think I've ever done that and not had Christmas Vacation win, but I think it's probably because I'm in charge of the bracket. But
Yeah.
but certainly a lot of fun to do that and just talk about, your memories that are connected to all those different holiday movies. So that's certainly something fun. So
One of the
next
things,
question belongs to you,
yeah,
man.
yes, sir. One of the things that is a highlight of, the Thanksgiving break is football. And I am a embarrassed Giants fan, so we won't even talk about them. But here's my question to you,
Yeah,
Darren. Two things, okay? Two to follow up question. Your favorite Thanksgiving football rivalry game or memory around
sure.
football if you don't have a rivalry game, and then if we rewinded this episode, and if we were in February and we rewinded back, who wins the Super Bowl today? So I'm going to
Ooh,
ask you favorite either football memory or favorite rivalry game, and then
good. I
who
like
wins
that.
the Super Bowl. And we're going to rewind back from February when Dom, me, and you are reading Unreasonable Hospitality and having that book study.
There you
We're
go.
going to come back to it to
I
say,
love it.
remember, Darren, you picked the Denver Broncos to win the Super Bowl. Why
Yeah.
are they? So what do you got?
Yeah, I'm not going to pick the Denver Broncos. Not because I don't think they're playing really well right now, but that's my team, and I am not going to jinx them. They're not going to win the Super Bowl though. But so I would tell you this. I mean, I love that question so much. I I really enjoy Thanksgiving Day football, and I'm not a Dallas Cowboys fan. And the Lions have been so bad for so long. Right now, they are arguably the best team in football. And they're so much fun to watch. But my favorite memories probably of Thanksgiving football are watching Barry Sanders as a Lion. And after him, Calvin Johnson. But man, you you would turn on the TV and just be mesmerized by some of the things that Barry Sanders did with football in his hands. Some of it was because their offensive line was so bad for so many years. He was just running for his life. But what an incredible player. And, somehow almost every Thanksgiving Day, the Lions would come up with a win that they had no business coming up with, or it'd be an exciting game, or something, and then you'd have John Madden, with
Yeah. The turducken.
the turducken and 17 different turkey legs
Yeah.
there and all that kind of stuff. So certainly love that. So if I have to if I have to if I have to pick a Super Bowl winner right now, man, I'll tell you what. Um, I would tell you I think there are legitimately four teams that could potentially win it right now, and I'll give them to you in reverse order. At number four, I'd say the Pittsburgh Steelers, and it pains me to say it because I can't stand them. And Russell Wilson is actually playing
Yeah.
well. He didn't do anything in 2 years in Denver, and he's finally playing well. I don't think they will, but I'll give them number four. Number three, I would tell you, is the Buffalo Bills. And I would love to say they're one, and they're probably going to be my pick. But they still have to get over number two, which is Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah.
Man, the Chiefs are good. They are so good, and they're so good in clutch. And you don't bet against Patrick Mahomes, but number one has to be the Detroit Lions. So I'm going to tell you, I think it's going to be the Bills and the Lions. And, oh man, either way, who cares who wins that game? But I'm going to go with my University of Wyoming homeboy. I'm going to go with Josh Allen. I'm going to say that the Buffalo Bills beat the Detroit Lions in the Super Bowl in February. That's my pick. How about you?
Great.
Well, I want to hear yours.
Yeah, that would be absolutely an incredible game. My mother grew up in Buffalo, New York. She still watches the Bills every Sunday when they're on. I don't know if a week ago I would have said this, but I'm just going to straight up say the Kansas City Chiefs are going to win the Super Bowl again. You nailed it on the head to say Patrick Mahomes.
I may never speak to you again.
Don't bet against Patrick Mahomes. I mean, whether
I know.
They block a field goal. I mean, they get a turnover. Isaiah Pacheco's coming back. Kelsey is just so tough. Love Xavier Worthy.
Yeah.
But you know what? You mentioned it, the Lions right now. I love their coach. I love the attitude and the intensity and just a culture of winning and buying in that they really have brought. That'll be a study one day when they write about that the transformation, because they were so bad. They were, like you said,
Yeah.
wearing paper bags on their face on Thanksgiving Day, and now they're scoring 50 points on people and not even playing well. But you know what? Until somebody beats them, the Kansas City Chiefs are gonna win the Super Bowl. I do know the New York Giants will not win the Super Bowl. Neither will the New York Jets.
No, no, no.
Both teams are
The two New
terrible.
York teams are
Uh,
vying for the top pick in the draft is where they currently stand. So okay, let's wrap up with this.
let's do.
Just one thought, one piece of advice, one, hey, go do this. If you're a school leader, you're between the Wednesday before Thanksgiving when this episode is dropping and whatever the Monday in January or Tuesday in January is that you come back. What's one thing school leaders should do for themselves that has literally nothing to do with school?
Uh, some kind of exercise or some kind of mental health push that you have where you put yourself first. Whether that's Darren getting up and playing 9 holes of golf before 7 a.m., whether that's taking a walk or a jog or a bike ride, whether that's getting up and reading the Bible, whether that's getting up and practicing yoga, some kind of thing where you put yourself first, where everything else comes second. And once you do that, you'll realize that you are able to take care of all the things that you take care of. A great leader, Melvin Eckert, shout out to Melvin if he's listening, told me one time, we take in so much, and if we don't have a way to get rid of it, it just completely overwhelms us. And that really hit home with me. We take in the monkeys. Todd Whitaker talks about the stress, the drama, the parent issues, the kid issues, you name it. And if we go home and we don't get out and exercise or take care of ourselves, then we resort to bad habits, and our blood pressure goes up, our stress goes up, and we don't do a good job. So I would say really the best time to start an exercise regime, a mental health, is right now. Now we're over break. Get out tomorrow. My wife and I took a 2-mile walk on the beach tonight. It was just gorgeous. Gulf of Mexico. We had the whole beach to ourselves. It was just absolutely amazing. We're going to do the same thing tomorrow. And then you stack good habits on top of each other, and pretty soon you're coming home from work and you're doing that. And so I'd say really put yourself first when it comes to your own mental, physical, spiritual well-being, and you'll be able to give back to everybody else. Darren, I'm going to kind of flip the question for you. What is
Sure.
something at school you would do? What would you tell that maybe early career principal? You have 3 weeks right now, essentially left until the end of 2024. I'll say the end of the first semester. What is something you
Yeah.
do on Monday, December 2nd, and try to continue it for 3 weeks to really make a positive impact or positive effect on your campus? What would you tell that early leader?
Yeah, no, that's a great question, and I'll tell you this. I'll share a little bitty story to lead into this, and then I'll use that answer. When I was speaking at the AMLE conference in Nashville 2 weeks ago, I wrap up, do my whole piece on leading into school leadership, and a bunch of people hung around afterwards, wanted to talk to me, but one person lingered and lingered and lingered. And to the point where I thought maybe she was the speaker who had the room next, right? Like I start packing up, and she came over and she's like, I just want you to know, like, you spoke right into my heart. And I'm like, well, I really appreciate that. And she said, well, let me tell you my story. She said, I've been an assistant principal for 3 years. And Todd, this is mid-November. This is like the 10th or 11th of November on a Thursday. She said, Darren, on Monday, I was named principal.
Oh, wow. Wow.
What do I do? Like,
Yeah.
what's my first step? You talk so much about clarity. I don't even know how to find clarity. I don't know how to find my compelling vision of my school right now. And we had a great conversation, and I'll keep that conversation just between the two of us. But one of the pieces I shared with her, and I'll use it to answer your question. In her case, fifth principal in 4 years.
Tough.
Her staff has done what we see so many other staffs do. They've pulled back in. They've built walls. They're just closing their doors and teaching and just,
Mhm.
I'm just trying to do this. I'm just trying to survive. What I told her was, you need to just go listen and listen and listen and listen, because the number one thing your folks need, and honestly, between now and the winter holiday, probably the number one thing people need is the same thing that in her case, her staff needs. Just give them hope. You need to be that dealer of hope. My good friend, Mark Brown, if Mark is listening, assistant principal at Newburgh, Oregon, Newburgh High School. I'm wearing the bracelet that he gave me. Hope dealer.
That's
Be a
awesome.
dealer in hope.
I love that.
Just be a dealer in hope. That's what people need. I mean, we're in a tough time. We're in a challenging time, and we've talked about it from the beginning. The holidays can be joyous, but they can also be scary and challenging. Just be a dealer in hope. If
Love
you
that
can do
phrase.
that, man, that is leadership. Just go be a dealer in hope. So
I
that would
love
be
that.
my answer, man.
Love that. Hey, most underrated side dish at Thanksgiving. As we wrap up, most underrated side dish, Darren Pepper's house, is what?
My daughter makes this absolutely out of control corn casserole.
Oh, nice.
It's out of this world. I absolutely
Nice.
love it. Yours. What's the most underrated side dish at the Bloomer table?
And it's because of the children. It's a charcuterie board. As you're looking at like an
Ooh.
appetizer to be able to go, because there's so much that can be added to that. And I'll tell you, the hottest thing right now in our house is everything with hot honey. Mike's hot honey. Shout out to
Oh
Mike.
yeah.
I need a name, image, and likeliness of Mike's hot honey, because that goes on everything. We're putting that on everything. And so the girls, we're on vacation for Thanksgiving. We will not be at home. We went and shopped today. We got our ham, we got macaroni and cheese, and we got stuff to make a charcuterie board to be able to make that one of the integral parts of the Bloomer family Thanksgiving.
That's
So
awesome.
yeah, ready to rock.
I love it, man.
Is right.
That's so good. That's so good.
Mhm.
All
Mhm.
right, man. Hey,
This was great.
so let's go ahead and yeah, this has been awesome, man. Let's
Yeah.
go ahead and wrap this up for this particular episode, for episode 178 of the Leaning Into Leadership podcast. Man, Todd, from our family to yours,
Yep.
happy Thanksgiving. Have a wonderful time with your family.
Love you,
my
man.
friend.
You're the best. Yep. You're
Yeah, yeah.
you're a godsend, sir, for not just people for your courses, but for just me. You're a good friend, and I look forward to working with you and all the great things going on. Just hope you have a good Thanksgiving, and the food is great, and football's even better. And heck, maybe the Giants shock the Cowboys on Thanksgiving Day. You
Hey, you never know.
yeah,
You
probably not,
just
but you never know.
Yeah, you just never know. All right, brother. Hey, love you.
Take care. Love you too, man.
Friends, everybody, thank you so much for joining us here on the Leaning Into Leadership podcast. Happy Thanksgiving. Have a wonderful time, and we will see you on the next episode of the Leaning Into Leadership podcast.
Yes, sir.